Hello, my name is Rick Morris, and I want to tell you a couple of stories that are miraculous. And they're miraculous in mysterious ways. One of them will be at the first of this episode, and the other one will be at the end. But the first story was I'm an engineer by trade and a mechanical engineer, and we do mechanical projects, design projects of plumbing, air conditioning, and electrical. And one day, a school official called me, and he said that at an elementary school, this was a school district that we did a lot of work for. And so he said at one of the elementary schools, early in the mornings, they would have a sewer smell at the front door, at the entrance, and then by 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, this odor would go away. And they had put a lot of money, 50,000 or more, in their budget to solve this problem because they had some teachers that and the school officials that were ready to quit teaching over this situation. It was so awful. So I go over there and I found out that the plumbers for the school district had been there and they had put a camera in the sewer line and they didn't know if they were going to have to dig up the schoolyard and make all kinds of change. They just didn't know what to do to get rid of this problem. So I'm no magician. I don't know uh, magical things to do, but I took a ladder and decided to look above the ceiling. And so I go over to the janitor's closet, which is close to the entrance, raise the ceiling tile, and go up the ladder with a flashlight. And I'm looking around in the attic to check and see if I could see anything. And my flashlight lands on this PVC pipe that is, someone has cut it off like 3 foot above the ceiling. It's 2 inch and has it's not going anywhere. It's just stubbed out above the ceiling. So I looked at this pipe, and as it went down, I could tell that it was a vent. It was a vent for the sink in this janitor's closet. So, bottom line, here's what happened. When the school would shut down in the evening, the exhaust fans in the school would stay on and all the air conditioning would go off. So there was no fresh air coming in, only exhaust air going out. And the building would go into a negative pressure. Well, not to get too scientific with you, what would happen would be the sewer gas would come back through this vent when the building was negative and come into the attic space at the front of the school, and they would get a lot of sewer gas and smell in the front of the school. And then when the air conditioners would come on at 7:30 in the morning, it would start putting fresh air in, and the building would go under positive pressure, and the smell would go away. So the fix, the fix was a $2 2-inch PVC cap and some glue on that sewer pipe vent, and the problem was solved. So I was kind of a hero for saving them $50,000. I didn't save it. They had it budgeted, but they were looking for the problem. God put me on the problem. You can say it was a coincidence, or I had all kinds of extra knowledge. In my world, in my mind, that was a miracle. And he put me right on the problem, and I saw it within 10 minutes. So that's just one story. I have another one at the end of this session. We're in step 12 of a recovery program for drugs and alcohol. These are videos, and this is episode 3 of step 12, and it's titled Real Change. The step states, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to other addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Now, the scripture I've selected to go along with this is, create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. That's Psalms 51:10. So, I'm going to make a statement and then ask a question, and I'll pause like I always do, and you can answer the question if it's a group, or you can think about it, and then I'll pick up and tell you my answer. We're ready to see the world with new eyes and hear with new ears. What does that mean? We're ready to see with new eyes and new ears. What does that mean to you? My answer is, now that we've been sober and clean for a while, the world is coming into focus. Everything looks different. We don't jump to conclusions that somebody is always out to get us. We think the best of people. We give them the benefit of the doubt. Instead of requiring them to prove themselves reliable, we assume they're reliable until they prove that they're not. We're positive about the future. We expect the best. We have become better listeners. We put ourselves in other people's shoes. It's not about me anymore, all about me anymore. I'm not selfish. I look for solutions to problems. My thinking has changed. I don't look to blame someone else when trouble comes. I don't run and hide or medicate my pain. I face problems head on. I don't procrastinate anymore. When there's a decision to be made, I carefully weigh it out, consult people that I trust that are knowledgeable in this area, and then I just make a decision. Once I make a decision, I stick with it because my word is my bond. I'm honest in all my dealings. Even if doing the right thing is costly, I do the right thing. I trust God to help me when circumstances look overwhelming. Now, I know that during the storms of life there will be conflict. In the past, when conflict arose, I found myself dreading the conflict toward being in paralysis. Can you explain that, or do you have an example of that kind of situation where conflict was coming and it paralyzed you? Well, to answer that question or talk about it a little bit, I'm going to make some statements. First of all, Satan is the enemy of our soul. He will send speculations to try and scare you. Most of the time, the conflict is not as bad as the enemy of our soul says it is. The best approach is to wade into the problem. Having a meeting or making a phone call to find out the facts is the way to go. Once you know all the facts, look for solutions. If we approach conflicts this way, many times we can take a negative and turn it into a positive. Really, that's what happened in my first example. But I want to give you another example of what that might look like. Now, as an engineer, I was called by another school. This is a different district, different school official, but I was called to investigate why a new air conditioning chiller would not perform as designed. It would go off and have to be reset almost daily. We made tens of thousands of good decisions on design projects. Literally, thousands of good, sound decisions. But sometimes we made a mistake. Hard as we would try, as many times as we would go over the plans and specs, there would inevitably be a mistake. Someone in our office put a 6 beside a piece of pipe in the central plant instead of writing an 8 by this piece of pipe. As soon as I saw it, I knew it was our fault. So I went to the meeting and owned up to the mistake. We talked to the contractors, and when there's a mistake, they typically take it to the bank. They make money when the engineer makes a mistake. Anyway, it was a $10,000 mistake. It was $10,000 roughly to replace this piece of pipe and insulation. So I went back to the office, sadly, and started thinking about how to tell my partner, who was president, that we were going to have to go to Hip National, that's our back pocket, and cough up $10,000. But before I talked to him, my phone rang, and it was a vendor for this project. And he said, I understand you had a mistake out there, and it's like a $10,000 mistake. And I said, yeah, that's a rough one, hard to swallow that one. And he said, well, we did the whole project, and we had some room in that job. I'll take care of it. A chill came over my heart. I told him thank you in the best way I knew how. But I knew that this doesn't happen in the construction world. Nobody does that. It never happened to me like that before. So you might say that was a goodness of his heart, or maybe some way a coincidence. But I attribute it to God looking after me, looking after my interest. I'm not saying that I haven't had to pay for some of my mistakes, but this particular one built my faith. It was a miracle.